Hi again, everybody. Larry Michael. Great to be back with my partner, Jon Saraceno. You know, Jon, this program has grown so much over the years. Tonight's matchups, international in flavor. Should be exciting.
It really is, Larry. You know, this is our 7th year, our 49th show televising ballroom boxing nationally. Really began as a local club show here in the Baltimore, Washington, D.C. market. It spread regionally throughout the Mid-Atlantic. A lot of fighters came from the Carolinas up and down the coast. And we became a national product. Tonight, we have 4 non-Americans headlining our show.
Main event tonight, Luis dos Santos, the former Brazilian champion, going against the Canadian Gardner. Gardner, 2 fights ago here in the ballroom, devastated James McAllister. Lightning struck. Could it happen again?
And that was some performance by Gardner. Terrific puncher, tall, rangy, good boxer, good power, trained by Goody Petronelli. Boxing fans remember him. He trained Marvin Hagler. You know, Santos is really in tough tonight, Larry.
Our co-feature could have been an Olympic matchup of years ago. Suleyman from Turkey against Joshua Onyango. He is from Kenya.
Does sound like that kind of a matchup, doesn't it? Suleyman is a fighter who has over 300 amateur fights. Doesn't have nearly as many pro fights, but much more refined than Onyango, who's fighting out of the United States for only the 2nd time.
All right, we are ready. We hope you are too when we come back. Ballroom Boxing is in the ring. Ballroom Boxing brought to you by Toyota. By Budweiser, delivering beer at its best with the crisp, clean, and refreshing taste known only to the king of beers. By Michael's 8th Avenue, a host of grand occasions. And by BallroomBoxing.com for the latest in ballroom boxing action and upcoming live events and season tickets. Welcome back to the ballroom. Larry Michael with Jon Saraceno. Our first fight, the type of fight that ballroom boxing was built on. 2 guys with small records but big hopes. Marvin Robinson and Jacob Rodriguez. John Scheinman with more.
Well, Larry, Marvin Robinson kind of getting a late start in his career. He's 36 years old, and he's a bit of a wild card as far as his future, because even though he's on the old side for a new fighter, he's 3-0, and he's been very impressive in his last 2 bouts, stopping opponents in short order. Rodriguez 2-1. He had 3 fights back in 1997, and he's been away well on what they call vacation, and now he's trying to get back in the game. Should be a good ballroom fight.
All right, John, let's get this one started. As always in the ballroom, it gets started with Pat O'Malley.
It's time now for more ballroom boxing. Scott and Michael Wagner, matchmakers Chris Middendorf and Josh Hall, and the director of boxing operations, Dave Wilkerson, present this 4-round bout in the light heavyweight division. Your referee in charge is Kenny Chevalier. The judges at ringside, John Gradowski, Bill Holmes, and Malik Wali. Your scorekeeper is Tommy Canaris. The timekeeper is Don Risher. Introducing the boxers. First, to my right, out of the blue corner, wearing the white trunks. He weighed in at 165 3/4 pounds. He hails from the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, with a record of 2-1. 2 via the KO. Please welcome Jacob, Jake the Snake Rodriguez. To my left, out of the red corner, wearing the gold trunks with black trim. He weighed in at 163 3/4 pounds, from Richmond, Virginia, with a record of 3-0, all by KO. Please welcome Marvin Nighthawk Robinson.
Robinson and Rodriguez in the ballroom, Jon Saraceno. This fight scheduled for 4 rounds.
I want to see his trunks. Okay, good.
Kenny Chevalier, the referee.
Here, fellas, the main thing I want is a clean break. Watch the low blows, and I don't want them heads using the wrong way. Touch these gloves up. Let's go.
North-South matchup, Philly against Richmond. Take a look at the matchup, John.
Well, of course, the shocking number, Robinson coming in at 5'11", Rodriguez at least 5 inches shorter. He's got to figure out a way to cut down that advantage and get on the inside.
Marvin Robinson, 3 fights, 3 knockouts. Robinson in the yellow trunks with the black trim. Rodriguez bringing it right to him early. Overhand right scores by Rodriguez. Good body shot by Rodriguez. Robinson needs to move out of that corner, John.
Well, you're seeing a guy who's not very experienced. He's 36 years old.
And no rust for Rodriguez, who has not fought in 6 years.
Robinson really leaving himself
Oh, big overhand right by Robinson scores. Rodriguez shaken, but he's still there.
This is just a wild slugfest. This is not going to last.
Uppercut by Robinson, who slips. That was a slip, no doubt about it. The feet went flying as he missed wildly with the uppercut.
These are guys that are very keyed up. They haven't fought much as professionals.
Don't go to the refrigerator during this one.
And you can see really how amateurish they are as fighters.
Robinson fought last in May of last year. First round knockout. In fact, he's got 2 first-round knockouts and a 3rd-round knockout. Rodriguez testing Robinson early here.
There's no feeling out process here. Rodriguez tried to knock out Robinson right from Jump Street.
You're holding. Come on, let's go
Robinson
now.
did come back, got out of the corner, landed a big right hand. But Rodriguez still pressing the action, Larry.
Marvin Robinson, 36 years old. Rodriguez, 28. Good left hand there by Rodriguez.
Well, Robinson's really leaving himself open. After he punches, he's very wide and his hands are down. He's going to get caught.
Big left hand by Rodriguez scores. And Robinson up against the ropes. Jake the Snake Rodriguez. I guess if your name is Jake, the nickname has to be the Snake, doesn't it?
Always seems to be that way.
Robinson's legs are a little wobbly. Gonna watch a clash of heads there too. Rodriguez needs to keep his hands up, John.
Well, so does Robinson.
Rodriguez keeps moving forward. Some of the starch out of the punches of Jake Rodriguez.
I think Robinson does have his legs there, and that could be more a function of age than anything else. 36 years old.
36 years old is right.
Let him out. Come on, come on.
But both men have expended a lot of energy this first round. Hard to tell who took the round. Rodriguez started out strong at the beginning of the round. And he has slowed down substantially here.
Come on out, come on out.
You can't say that Robinson exactly is fighting with a lot of fire right now either, John.
Well, as you said, they expended a lot of energy. And they're young fighters in terms of number of fights that could come back to haunt them.
Round 1 coming to a close here in the ballroom. Good opener, this fight scheduled for 4 rounds.
Okay.
Looking back at action from round 1, this is the slip by Robinson as he misses the 1 punch. Good head movement by Rodriguez, and you'll see the uppercut come back here now. And he'll miss that as well, John.
Well, there were a lot of missed punches in that round, Larry, and some connected early on, particularly for Rodriguez. I thought he won the round.
Almost looked like he knocked himself out there. Rodriguez in the white and Robinson in the yellow with the black trim. This fight is scheduled for 4 rounds. As I mentioned, Jake Rodriguez has not fought since October of '97. There is a cut on the bridge of Rodriguez's nose, and he scores with a combination. And Robinson's legs buckled there a moment, John.
We talked about that in the first round. He looked wobbly.
Let him out, break. Let him out easy. Come on, step back.
Rodriguez,
step back. Don't push on me.
Even though he's very rusty from having been off for so many years, can break down Robinson to the body maybe a little bit, instead of just wildly winging headshots.
Nice jab by Rodriguez.
I don't know if either of these fighters have that kind of patience.
If either of them have a lot of stamina either, John. Down goes Rodriguez. I think that was a body shot. Was it low? We couldn't tell. Fighter's back was to us.
Hey, Joy.
He's acting like it was a low shot.
Let's go.
He's complaining that it was a low blow.
Give my ball. That's it? You want no more? Come on. Give me your hand gloves. Hit my balls, man. Next time it's that was a knockdown.
You could hear Rodriguez saying he was hit low. And Kenny Chevalier did not see it. So the fight resumes. Robinson in some trouble now.
That was low, my man.
Now Robinson called for the low blow, and Rodriguez looking around. He is hurt again with a low blow.
It looks like he's looking for something to pick up.
I hope he didn't lose him.
Wow.
He complained after the first one.
Okay? Check it out.
Controversy at the Ballroom Boxing Series. How about that?
And you know what? Sometimes a fighter will go low out of desperation. I'm not so sure that was the case with Marvin Robinson, the Nighthawk.
Are you ready?
Well, Kenny Chevalier is giving him as much time as he needs.
Okay.
And Rodriguez is taking it.
Okay.
And he's upset. Let's see if he starts winging wildly at Robinson.
Box.
So Rodriguez says he's okay, and this fight is resumed. Good jab by Robinson on the way in, and you never know the low blows, how they'll affect a guy, John.
Well, particularly Rodriguez, who was indoors for a number of years. You never know what that takes out of a guy when he's been sent away.
You're referring to he was incarcerated. The miss by Rodriguez comes back with the shoulder. And Rodriguez in trouble up against the ropes. He's got to battle back. And Robinson feeling very confident right now. He was wobbled at the beginning of this round, but the low blows have turned the tide in his favor.
Hey,
You know, a lot of people think that when
Let's go.
guys go to prison, it makes them real tough and they come out real mean and they'd be better in boxing. But I actually have an opposite theory. I think it actually weakens the spirit and they're worth less. I think Mike Tyson is a prime example of that.
Boy, Robinson just missed with an uppercut from left field. And Rodriguez seems to have recovered from those low blows. Robinson comes in with that right hand. He is wide open with the left counter, John. I mean, wide open.
Well, you see Rodriguez doing a lot of retreating in this round. That's not how he started out the fight. So Robinson has taken something away from him, literally and figuratively.
Robinson is tired, though, so an interesting fight unfolding before us here in the ballroom.
One more and I take one, okay? All right.
Looking back, action from round 2. Let's see if these blows were low. Rodriguez up against the ropes. Yeah, no doubt about that. That's a low blow. Now, the referee, Kenny Chevalier, was screened, could not see that low blow.
Well, we couldn't either because he had his back to us, but that was definitely south of the border.
And there was Rodriguez complaining about that low blow, and later in that round, Robinson went south again. And Rodriguez seems to have recovered. Very close fight. Let's check in with John Scheinman at the midway point of this 4-round fight. John.
Well, Larry, first of all, I respectfully disagree. I think that was just below the belt line, and it shouldn't hurt. That shot shouldn't have hurt Rodriguez as much as he made out to be. That said, on a 10-point must system, I've got Robinson ahead, 19-18 on my card after 2.
Rodriguez tied up in the ropes. He's got to get out of there. Thank you, John. Missed right hand by Robinson. And Rodriguez backhands him down. That's not a knockdown. He just pushed him down.
Gloves, man.
Kind of a savvy move by Rodriguez to get away from the onslaught.
Well, Robinson's really turned the fight around.
Rodriguez on his toes. The blood from the nose of Rodriguez on the bridge of his nose, not a factor.
Oh, what a body shot.
Pounding right hand by Robinson. Rodriguez walked right into it. Here in round 3.
Hey, give me your glove.
Up at the count of 8.
Good.
I don't know if that really hurt Rodriguez real bad. I think it stunned him. Still got his legs under him. Robinson sensing he's got him in a lot of trouble. Rodriguez needs to get out of that corner. The longer he stays in that corner, the more Robinson will dominate this fight. And Rodriguez looking around. He is hurt, John. I don't know if he's got much left. Good straight jab by Robinson. He could put him away here if he's patient. And somehow Rodriguez pedaling back.
What heart shown by Rodriguez to battle back the way he has, because Robinson has been teeing off on him for the last round and a half.
Overhand right by Rodriguez. Robinson still has something left. Another right hand by Robinson. He could be punching himself out here, though.
His legs are going. He's leaving himself really wide open. If Rodriguez could just step to the side and avoid a shot and counter, he could probably stop him.
Good right hand by Robinson. And you're right, his legs are beginning to deceive him, but he's still throwing that right hand.
Rodriguez ought to be moving if he can a little bit.
Grabbing the heads now, come on.
Warning from Chevalier. Rodriguez turns the tide, has Robinson on his heels. Rodriguez is growing with confidence, John.
I think Rodriguez can stop him, Larry, right here. He's got to pour it on him.
Robinson in the corner, Rodriguez hammering away. Robinson about to go down, his legs are gone.
Wow, what a fight and what a finish, because I don't think he's getting up. And if he does, I don't know how smart it is.
It's one of the greatest rounds ever in ballroom boxing history, and it's over. Great come from behind man by Jake the Snake Rodriguez to come back after 2 low blows. And it looked like Chevalier could have stopped that fight when Robinson had Rodriguez on the ropes.
What What a performance by Jake Rodriguez, fighting for the first time in 6 years. Aged 28 years old. He showed that Philadelphia toughness, Larry. You know, it looked like he was going to lose the fight and get stopped. Those 2 low blows, you know, it appeared to hurt him seriously, genuinely. He battled back from it. Robinson punched himself out and then left himself wide open to be knocked out, and Rodriguez took advantage of it.
John, I'm not kidding. That's one of the best rounds we have ever seen in terms of a guy coming from near oblivion to turn the tide and win the fight. Jake Rodriguez was just getting hammered by Robinson on the ropes, and somehow he had the reserve to come back.
Well, and Robinson, too, he's standing really on pure instinct in that last 20 seconds of the fight, because you saw Rodriguez just open up. Robinson was defenseless, even though he was able to get up and beat the count. Kenny Chevalier thought he had enough, and I thought it was a good, solid stoppage.
Come from behind knockout win for Jake Rodriguez. Let's make it official with Pat O'Malley. Pat?
Your attention, please, ladies and gentlemen. The winner by knockout at 2:44 of round 3, Jake the Snake Rodriguez.
So Rodriguez is the winner. And I can't wait to hear John Scheinman's conversation with Jake Rodriguez, because what if Rodriguez thought that he was out of that fight, especially after those 2 low blows? In fact, he got up at the count of 8 after getting hit low one time.
Yeah, Kenny Chevalier, I think, doubted the first time whether he'd been hit low. He was shielded from that. Did not see the low blow. We thought it was south of the midsection area. And Rodriguez really could have quit. For a guy who had not been in the ring for 6 years, it would have been very easy for him to really lay down tonight. He did not. Hats off to him.
Rodriguez turns the tide and knocks Robinson out in round 3. Standing by with the winner is John Scheinman. John?
Jacob, that had to be one of the most fascinating slugfests we've ever had here in the ballroom. Tell us about the 3rd round where you went down. How did you stay in the fight to come back to win?
Hey, to tell you the truth, I didn't go down. He hit me with a low blow. So I was a little upset. The referee didn't do what he was supposed to do, so I went out there, handled my business.
He had you in the corner toward the end, though, and he was really teeing off on you. Were you a little worried you were just going to get overwhelmed there?
No, no. I figured I'm good under pressure. So once he was tearing off, I had to tee off myself. It was off for 1-1-4.
Long hiatus since your last bout. Did you feel like you came out with a little too much adrenaline flowing?
Yes, a little, but I calmed myself down. I just want to thank Mr. Willie Rush, Willie Folks, and my other man, John. We got it through.
Tremendous knockout here in the ballroom. Let's go back to ringside.
All right, Rodriguez did what he had to do, and he took home the W. More ballroom boxing coming up in a moment. Welcome back to the ballroom. Larry Michael with Jon Saraceno. We're going to get a chance to see an unbeaten prospect, Aneudi Santos, go up against a very tough David Dawson. Standing by with more on this matchup is John Scheinman. John?
Larry, not many fighters go by the nickname El Estudiante, the student. But Aneudi Santos, who's managed by Lou DiBella, is attending Hofstra University on a scholarship right now. In fact, he qualified for the Dominican Olympic team in the last Olympics and couldn't go to the games because he was fulfilling scholarship obligations. This guy is known as a crude but excellent power hitter, an excellent prospect. The Red Dog, David Dawson, we've seen here before in the ballroom. He has a good record of 13-6, but he's been found wanting a little bit as he stepped up against tougher competition. We saw him stopped here in 1 round by John Boy Vargas, a good prospect out of New York. We're going to see if he can give Aneudi Santos a test.
All right, John, let's see if Santos can remain unbeaten. Let's get it started with Pat O'Malley. Patrick.
Your attention, please, ladies and gentlemen. Got it, Michael Wagner. Matchmakers Chris Middendorf and Josh Hall, and the Director of Boxing Operations, Dave Wilkerson, present the 6th-round bout in the light heavyweight division. Your referee in charge is Bill Holmes. Judging the bout at ringside, Kenny Chevalier, John Gradowski, Malik Waleed. The scorekeeper is Tommy Canaris. The timekeeper, Don Risher. Now introducing the boxers. First to my right, out of the blue corner, wearing the black and white trunks. He weighed in at 175 pounds. He hails from the nation's capital, Washington, D.C. With a record of 13-6, 9 via the KO. Please welcome David Red Dog Dawson. To my left, out of the red corner, wearing the blue and white trunks. He tipped the scales at 174. His hometown, Freeport, New York, via the Dominican Republic. His record, 6-0, 4 via the KO. His promoter is Lou DiBella. Please welcome Aneudi El Estudiante Santos.
El Estudiante. That's the first El Estudiante we've ever had in the ballroom. Bill Holmes is the ref.
Protect yourselves at all times, obey my commands. Touch gloves.
It's the Red Dog against the student, Jon Saraceno. What's that matchup look like?
Well, the numbers really are even. You can see them for yourselves. Not a great deal of difference. David Dawson, though, 6 losses, fighting an unbeaten prospect.
21-year-old Aneudi Santos. Dawson, 29 years old. We are underway. We are told that Santos is rather green and raw, but has a lot of natural ability, and you can tell from the black eye under the eye of Dawson that he's been in a few gym wars recently. Got to keep that right hand up because that Santos left has found the mark twice. Big overhand right by Santos. David Dawson, known as a durable guy, but last time we saw him was here in the ballroom against John Vargas, June of 2002, and he was dispatched rather quickly in the first round. Nice jab by Santos, snapping the head of Dawson here in round 1. Already some swelling around the right eye of Dawson.
Well, you see how serious Santos comes out.
Second time, next time's
Very
a point,
poised,
box.
considering his lack of professional ring experience.
Dawson trying a little uppercut with the left hand. Santos turned pro in October of 2001. Hasn't lost as a professional, 6-0. In fact, he had a shot to be on the Dominican Olympic team, but because of the fact that he has the scholarship to Hofstra, he could not take the time off of school for fear of losing that scholarship. So he is El Estudiante.
That does mean student, doesn't it?
I sure hope so, because
it does.
Body shot there.
Hey, I didn't take 6 years of Spanish for nothing.
Yeah, they never told me that one. Beautiful uppercut. Well, he's a student in and out of the ring as well. Beautiful uppercut by Santos. Had the crowd's attention after that punch.
Well, Santos much quicker.
Step back, step back, step back.
And Dawson, you can see the difference in hand speed, reflexes, just natural talent. You see Santos trying to maneuver Dawson into a position where he can begin to launch his offensive attack.
John, a young guy like
Great
Santos,
jab.
21 years old, has not fought since October of last year. Does he need to be busier at that age, or is that what you're looking at for a guy his caliber at this stage of his career?
No, you raise a good point. He should be a lot busier. I don't know why he has been off like that. I'm sure there are other reasons. But when you're that young, you cannot replicate real live boxing rounds in the ring in front of a crowd, fighting a real live guy, or semi-live, depending on the night. You can't get that kind of work in sparring. You can learn a lot of lessons sparring. You've got to be able to translate on a fight night. And that takes
Santos ripping left hand, doubling up the left hook. Boy, there is a knot forming right under the right eye of David Dawson from that left hand of Santos. Back with more from the ballroom in a moment. Here you go. All right, welcome back to the ballroom where the fans always go home happy. Jon Saraceno, in fact, very happy. Action from round number 1, John, as Santos dominated.
Well, I'm happy when I see a guy like Santos, a great young prospect. You see him putting his punches together very well, not necessarily in that sequence, but really doubled up on a left hook and used a jab effectively. His round easy.
When you take that type of punishment in round 1, what do you do if you're David Dawson? What can you change in 1 minute?
Well, the interesting thing is Dawson has a pretty good chin. I mean, he got cracked good and really didn't go anywhere, which I found interesting. And he's here to fight. He's standing right in front of Santos. and maybe he's going to try to smother his punches.
Good body work there. Dawson just trying to get something done on the inside.
The problem is Dawson doesn't really have enough to keep Santos off of him. Santos isn't really thinking twice about moving forward and throwing with both hands.
Santos has been 4 rounds on 3 occasions. This fight is scheduled for 6. Light heavyweights in the ballroom right now. Want to say hello to the troops overseas as we are seen worldwide on American Forces TV. Over 1 million homes shown in 140 countries. And this show certainly dedicated to the troops overseas.
Godspeed to all our men and women in the armed forces all across the world.
Santos in the blue trunks with a white trim has slowed down here in round 2. David Dawson out of Washington, D.C. by way of Virginia Beach, Virginia, in the black trunks with a white trim. He really has done nothing successfully offensively, John.
Well, every time Dawson gets ready to set the punch, Santos moves on him. And then when Santos is ready, he stops, whacks away, and moves again. Not an easy guy to fight.
Big clubbing right hand. Didn't really land solid, but you're right. You got to give Dawson a lot of credit for his chin, if nothing else.
Dawson not doing a very good job of cutting the ring off on Santos. Not that it would be that easy, but he's just too slow a foot.
Santos working Dawson into the ropes. Aneudi Santos from Hofstra. 3 straight early wins in his career, included a 4th round TKO over Hilario Guzman, which came in his last fight. Santos has really laid off offensively off of Dawson here in this fight, John. And round 2, midway through here.
He has backed off. He's picking his spots.
A little blood from the nose of Aneudi Santos as well. So Dawson, though, maybe doesn't look like he's scoring effectively, is gotten through at least 1 punch to bloody the nose of Santos. So this fight tightening up here in round 2. More coming up from the ballroom at Michael's 8th Avenue after this. All right, round 3 underway, and let's check in with Jon Scheinman for the scorecard after 2. John.
20-18, 2 rounds to none for Aneudi Santos. But Larry, the second round was a lot closer as David Dawson seemed to get back into the fight. Yes, he didn't look like he landed a lot of shots, but he landed a good left hook once from out of the corner that backed Aneudi Santos off, and then he did some decent body work throughout the fight. I thought he brought Aneudi Santos more down to his comfort zone.
Big right hand by Santos. Put some discomfort on Dawson.
David Dawson has been stopped. I don't know what the circumstances are. In 2 of his last 3 fights, he's been stopped 3 times in his career. And tonight, Santos has hit him flush, and he hasn't gone anywhere.
Dawson getting a warning there, John, for a low blow. And I tell you right now, Dawson's showing a lot of durability in this fight. Question is, can Santos continue to pummel him for 6 rounds?
I think he probably can. The other question is, can Dawson mount enough offense to steal some of these rounds and try to make the fight close? He pulled closer in the second round, but I still had Santos winning.
Big overhand right, and another by Santos. Earlier it was the left hand that was the key one for Santos. Now the right beginning to land here in round 3.
Well, Dawson isn't a real cutie defensively. He doesn't move his head very well. He's got to keep his hands up. See how wide he's punching. He's wading in, and Santos is picking him apart.
Santos using his head on the inside.
Step back, step back.
And Dawson locks him up.
You hold 2.
And Santos does have an excellent jab when he uses it, and he hooks off of it. For a young fighter, he's learned some of his lessons very well.
Sure has. Dawson ties him up again.
Step back, no punches, step back.
I guess it would be safe to say that Dawson wants this fight to be ugly, doesn't want it to be a clean boxing match. He wants to get on the inside and rough Santos up a little bit.
Well, you figure a guy who's been stopped 2 of his last 3 fights, who's only had 3 fights in 3 years, this is a guy theoretically that you should be able to put on your pelt
Step back, step
as a
back,
KO.
step back.
Right.
Sometimes guys refuse to be knocked out. They come into a fight more juiced up for whatever reason. And certainly tonight, Dawson has gotten cracked several times, very flush.
Santos still bringing some power, John. Dawson moving forward, though.
You know, when you look at Dawson, he doesn't really look like a light heavyweight.
Neither really does Santos. Another good round for Santos. Dawson having some moments throughout round 3, reaching the midway point of the 6th rounder here in the Ballroom. Welcome back to Ballroom Boxing. You see the excitement in the air here in the Ballroom. And action from round 3, as you saw it, kind of a grappling affair in round 3. Jon Saraceno. First couple rounds, Santos showed a lot of firepower with the left hook. Dawson's still there. Could he frustrate Santos?
Well, I think he's frustrated him in the sense that he hasn't gone anywhere when he gets nailed. Santos has hit him hard tonight several times. Wow, double left hook, right hand by Santos.
Huge combinations by Aneudi Santos. And David Dawson hanging in against that onslaught. Huge right hand by Santos. I mean, he's just teeing up right now. But Bill Holmes is taking a look at David Dawson. I don't think he's going to let him take a whole lot more, and that's going to be it.
Oh, he's mad. I tell you what, you got to give it to Dawson. He stood in there and took his licks and did not quit. Right now, Pat Pinella's from the Maryland Commission trying to settle him down. Dawson's really hot. He's yelling at the commission. He doesn't think the fight should have been stopped. But you know what? It was a matter of time, Larry.
I think that was a good stoppage, to be honest with you. I understand David Dawson is frustrated by how that fight ended.
Right, sure he is, and that's natural. You want to see a guy get mad. You don't want to see a guy quit. But Santos was about to behead him.
I mean, he was teeing off on his dome.
And you see the big roundhouse right hand. Santos is not really a straight puncher. And some of those blows, I think he could have got him out of there a little bit quicker if his punches were a little straighter. Some of the force is lessened by the fact that he's a bit of a roundhouse puncher. But really did his job tonight. There's another angle.
Hey, look at a right hand.
Ran right into it.
He's got too much guts for his own good, John. He took a heck of a pounding there. And again, David Dawson showing a lot of heart. But when is it too much? He's getting his head snapped, very frustrated. And one of the reasons he may be frustrated is that I think in his mind, if he got Santos into the last couple of rounds after all that he had expended, after all of the energy which he had expended, maybe he thought he could get to Santos at the end of the fight. What do you think?
I don't know what he was thinking. And at that point, I don't really think it matters. I think Bill Holmes did the best job he could. He did performed the referee's main task in the ring, and that's to protect fighters at all time. He protected him from himself. You're right. He was too brave for his own good. And, you know, the crowd loves to see this kind of a fight. We all do, but there's a time to end it.
Let's get the official time of the knockout from Pat O'Malley.
Your attention, please, ladies and gentlemen. We have a TKO at 55 seconds. In the round 4, the winner, Aneudi El Estudiante Santos.
Kind of unfair to Santos. Kind of unfair to Santos as David Dawson comes over to us and yells in our face out of frustration. The overhead cam here in the Ballroom shows you how this fight ended. You see David Dawson in the black trunks. Maybe he should have held on, John, because those repeated shots to the dome, the referee wasn't going to let that continue much longer.
I think he would have held on if he could have held on. I don't think he was in any shape to hold on. I think it was a good stoppage. Fans want to see fighters, let's face it, pummel each other into submission. I don't think it was necessary. I think it was a good move by the referee, Bill Holmes.
Dawson wasn't going to submit, that's for sure. Let's find out How Aneudi Santos feels about the victory with Jon Scheinman. John?
Aneudi, a very unpopular victory in the blood and guts ballroom down here in Glen Burnie. Does it upset you that the fans would cheer against you after such an explosive victory?
You know something, I work hard for what I want. Not every day you can make the crowd happy, you can make the people happy. It really upset, you know. I did what I had to do. The referee decided to stop the fight. I didn't stop the fight. He stopped the fight. I'm happy with myself. I'm happy with what I did.
After a very crisp first round, you seem to let Dawson climb into the fight a little bit, almost fighting down to his level. In the final round, though, you came out with a purpose. What changed the tactics?
You know, I saw the fight was getting a little close. I want to win by KO. I want to prove to him that I'm better fighter than him. I don't want to have a close fight. The fight wasn't close at all. I was winning the fight, so I did what I had to do, you know.
You think the fight should have been stopped?
He should have been stopped. I mean, he was getting killed.
Does this bother you? He's parading around the ring right now, inciting the crowd.
It doesn't bother me at all, you know. I win the fight. That's the thing. He set my record. I win the fight, and that's it.
Aneudi Santos, he comes away with a victory, popular or unpopular. Back to ringside.
Right, you know what, John? It's our 49th edition of Ballroom Boxing, and just when you think you've seen it all, you got David Dawson holding his hand to his ear, asking for more cheers here in the ballroom.
Well, Santos is right. He was getting killed, and, you know, Bill Holmes may have prevented a tragedy tonight. Who knows?
Yep.
Let's face it. Santos was probably going to win the fight regardless, and he was going to probably stop him in a matter of 3 or 4 seconds anyway. So better too soon than too late.
It's never dull in the ballroom. More Ballroom Boxing coming up in a moment. Welcome back to the ballroom. Larry Michael with Jon Saraceno. We've seen some great fights so far. The main event is still to come. Luis dos Santos against Ian Gardner, as we mentioned earlier, being seen worldwide on American Forces Television. So to the troops overseas, get the job done, folks, and come home safely.
Our bodies are here, but believe me, Larry, our minds and hearts are with you over there. Godspeed to you all.
And of course, this edition of Ballroom Boxing is dedicated to our troops overseas. We'll have more to come from the ballroom in Glen Burnie, Maryland. Welcome back to the ballroom. The fight we talked about earlier, international flavor, a man from Turkey and a man from Kenya. It is Norman Suleyman going up against Joshua Onyango. And I said both names right. Let's see if Jon Scheinman can do the same. John.
Larry, Suleyman, we talk a lot about in the ballroom about amateur backgrounds. This guy lost to Joel Casamayor, the former WBA 130-pound champion, when he was just 10 years old. He's had over 300 amateur fights in his career, and now at 32 years old is 8-0. This is still, even at 32, a tremendous prospect. I'm expecting an excellent bout tonight. Onyango, even though he's 11-4, he's the former British Commonwealth champion, and the men that have beat him have a combined record of 54-0-1. Co-matchmaker for this fight, Josh Hall, told me to expect an absolute barn burner tonight.
We hope so. Let's get this one started with Pat O'Malley in the ring. Patrick.
Your attention, please, ladies and gentlemen. The Maryland State Athletic Commission Chairman Carl N. Milligan, Jr., Executive Director Patrick Vanella, and Ballroom Boxing promoters Scott and Michael Wagner, and matchmakers Chris Middendorf and Josh Hall present the 6th-round bout in the junior middleweight division. Your referee in charge is Bill Holmes. Judging this bout, John Gradowski, Don Risher, and Malik Waleed. The scorekeeper is Kenny Chevalier, the timekeeper, Tommy Canaris. And boxing fans, what time is it? That's right, ballroom boxing time. Introducing the boxers, first to my left, out of the red corner, wearing the black and white trunks. He weighed in at 150 3/4 pounds. He hails from Lake Victoria, Kenya, with a record of 11-4, 10 via the KO. He's fighting in the USA for just the 2nd time. The former British Commonwealth champion, please welcome Joshua Poison Onyango. To my right, out of the blue corner, wearing the red trunks. He weighed in at 152 1/4 pounds. He calls home Houston, Texas, but he is from Turkey via Kazakhstan. He boxed in 2 Olympiads in 1996 and the year 2000. His record as a professional, 8-0, 4 via the KO. Please welcome Nurhan, the Sun King Suleyman.
So Suleyman and Onyango in this international matchup in the ballroom.
Receive your instructions in the dressing room. Protect yourselves at all times. Obey my commands. Touch gloves.
Suleyman looks all business, John. Take a look at the matchup.
Well, the numbers really speak for themselves. What you don't see is Suleyman is a very skilled fighter. He is a ring technician, fundamentally sound, and an excellent prospect.
Onyango has lost his last two. Last time out in October of '02, had a 6-round decision loss to Paul Williams. Before that, May lost the British Commonwealth title to Michael Jones by way of TKO in the 6th round. These two guys are evenly matched up. Suleyman, though 32, just getting started in his pro career, had a long amateur career.
Boy, did he ever.
In Turkey, and as Pat O'Malley talked about, originally from Kazakhstan. Over 300 amateur bouts and fought in 2 Olympiads, 1996 and also in the year 2000.
You know he knows how to box.
But amateur success does not necessarily mean professional success.
This is true.
Onyango looks a little busier here in round 1 as this fight gets underway. Scheduled for 6 rounds. Onyango in the black trunks, Suleyman in the red trunks.
Suleyman really knows how to slip punches well, Larry. Very adept at it. It's hard to get a clean shot on him.
Suleyman using his forearm there to try to set up a punch.
Onyango's thrown a lot of punches, but most of those punches have not scored. And you can't give credit when you're a judge just for leading unless you're scoring.
Step back, step back, step back.
Bill Holmes, the referee. You can hear his voice there. So Suleyman using that forearm repeatedly, the left forearm, trying to ward off the onslaught of Onyango. Left hand to the body, then head by Onyango.
But he blocked that left hook with his glove. The first punch landed. Onyango certainly showing him not a lot of respect here, which is what he's got to do in the first round. He's got to take it to him. Suleyman's been moving, retreating, circling, not throwing a lot of effective punches thus far.
Keep him up.
Onyango now living in Edison, New Jersey. Exit 10 if you're wondering. Nicknamed Poison by way of Kenya. Now Suleyman working the jab nicely. Big left hand by Suleyman scores. And that shook Onyango up a little bit. Things heating up towards the end of round 1 here in the ballroom. We are back in the ballroom where the entertainment never ends. In the ring, Joshua Onyango and Noam Suleyman. Evenly matched battle. Let's look back on action from round 1.
Well, Onyango came out strong, throwing combination punches, but they didn't always land. I thought Suleyman stole the round right at the end.
Round 2 underway. This fight is scheduled for 6 rounds.
This is Suleyman's first scheduled 8-rounder.
Step back, step back.
Sorry about that.
6.
6.
Nice jab there by Onyango.
Let him go, stop. Okay, don't hold him.
You know, Suleyman has the amateur background, John, but you got to be able to rumble. Yeah, he beat Costa Zoo in the amateurs.
Doesn't mean anything, though. You're right.
But you got to get in there and you got to rumble. And right now, you know, you need to inflict some punishment. It's a very tight fight right now.
Interesting about Onyango, his 4 losses in his 15 fights have come against fighters with a combined record of 54-0-1.
Wow. never lost to a fighter with a loss.
And if he loses tonight, that trend will continue.
That's exactly right. So the key for him is not to fight someone who's unbeaten. Yes.
Well, that's up to his manager to help him there.
Nice left hand by Onyango.
Onyango has been pressing the attack from the opening bell.
Step back.
A little busier.
I don't know how effectively at all times, but certainly he's been leading.
Suleyman now making his home in Houston, Texas.
Boy, Suleyman really gives you a lot of angles in there. He is constantly circling to his right and his left. He's a very difficult guy to fight. Not that all that easy to find and hit. And you can see Onyango's mouth open a little bit. Tired of chasing him. It's only the second round. Interesting fight plan by Suleyman. He just picks his shots, takes them, gets out, and moves on.
Suleyman's punches are getting stiffer here in round 2.
They are. He landed a nice left hook right there.
He's picking it up a little bit.
I wonder if he can fight on the inside. I haven't seen a whole lot of that.
A little blood from the nose of Onyango right now. Nice sharp right hand, and again, Suleyman using those forearms and elbows to set his opponent up.
And he mixes a jab down to the chest and the body. And when Onyango goes to block it, he goes upstairs. Very clever fighter.
Suleyman brings it a little bit. More to come in a moment. You're watching Ballroom Boxing.
Okay, breathe.
Check the corner of Suleyman.
Breathe. Breathe. Go.
His corner really giving it to him, Jon Saraceno, as Suleyman coming off pretty good round 2. Why was his corner disappointed with that round?
Well, I think they wanted to be more aggressive and use all of his punches in his arsenal. Maybe step up the attack.
Round 3 underway. Let's check in with Jon Scheinman for the scorecard through 2. John?
All even after 2, Larry, 19-19. Good first round for Onyango. But Suleyman displayed an enormous wealth of talent in that last round. I don't want to get too complimentary, but he reminded me of the former great champion, Wilfred Benitez, in the way he intuitively got out of the way of punches in such a relaxed manner and no herky-jerkiness, and able to just anticipate whatever Onyango was going to throw. Another problem that Benitez had that this guy has is that he doesn't throw enough punches.
Well said, Jon Scheinman. Larry Michael with Jon Saraceno ringside. This is Ballroom Boxing. For more on the action here in the Ballroom, log on ballroomboxing.com. You can check it all out. And you're right, I would agree with Scheinman for the first time this year that Suleyman beginning to let his skill take over a little bit here, John.
Well, he's got all the punches in the book. There you saw him throw a good stiff left jab, and then he followed up with a left hook. It's really his motion, though, his constant punching and circling that's giving his opponent a lot of trouble. Because Onyango can never zero in.
Nice left hand by Onyango, but not a lot of power behind his punches. Suleyman stands right in.
Suleyman's got a good jab when he uses. He just touches him with it to the body, then he rips him upstairs. And you could see this guy, even though amateur boxing doesn't have anything to do with professional boxing, you could see this guy learn how to fight in the amateurs.
He's got skills.
And he's got a lot of experience. What we don't know is if he's in a real hard fight and he gets nailed a few times, what will happen, and can he fight on the inside? It looks like he's a pretty good inside fighter when he wants to be.
Onyango beginning to turn the tide a little bit here in the 3rd round. Suleyman taking him to the body, and that stops the assault of Onyango, who continues to bleed from the nose.
Well, what's tiring Onyango out is missing so much. That takes a lot of energy out of a fighter, and you can slowly see it dissipating in him, just ever so slight. He's getting tired of chasing this guy and missing him, but he's still pursuing.
Onyango staying on his toes. Suleyman, though, picking them apart right now.
Onyango is really whiffing on a lot of his shots.
Third round comes to a close with Suleyman moving nicely, boxing beautifully in the ring here in the ballroom.
Some box, punch him. Box, punch, be first. Double jabs, box him. Don't slug with him. Use your reach, your advantage. Come on now. You're letting this kid get all over you.
You can't take this guy out.
Great talk from the
Don't lose
trainer,
concentration. Don't forget your defense.
Jon Saraceno, trainer of Joshua Onyango, wanting his man to pick up the pace a little bit and box and not slug.
He also said, don't chase him and you're waiting too long. Those are all good things to say, but when you got a guy like Suleyman who's that skilled, it's a lot tougher to execute him.
John, is it one thing for a corner to point out the mistakes? Shouldn't there be an instruction to go with it? To try to help the fighter think his way through?
Not just what to do, but how to do it. Exactly. I'm not sure it would matter because of the reflexes and boxing ability of Suleyman.
Onyango trying to move forward. Suleyman protecting his body beautifully, blocking those punches with the gloves.
And some of those punches he's picking off, definitely.
A couple of them have gotten through, though, so good assault by Onyango.
Now, see, Suleyman wanted to turn him into the ropes and then fire away, but Onyango grabbed him and he was unable to do so. He was setting him up a little bit there. He was on the ropes on purpose.
Break, step back, step back.
Blood from the mouth of Suleyman now. So both fighters bleeding. Suleyman from the mouth and Onyango from the nose.
Well, Suleyman knows how to use that shoulder when necessary on that left hand. Puts it right on Onyango's chin when he rushes in. Good counter right hand by Suleyman. He got clipped there, stumbled a little.
Onyango tagged him and Suleyman is hurt. Suleyman is hurt. Never lost a fight in his professional career. And Onyango got through with the right hand.
You got to give it to Onyango. He's really hanging on here, trying to press and make this fight. He's going after this guy.
Another big right hand by Onyango scores. So this is a round that so far has been a good one for Onyango out of Kenya.
It's the best round of the fight.
Suleyman battling back, and you can see the blood out of the mouth from Suleyman bothering him as he spits it out.
Onyango continuing to pressure Suleyman. More effective in this fourth round.
Good round for Joshua Onyango in the black trunks out of Kenya.
Suleyman's a pretty good counter puncher too when he wants to be.
Oh, that was a crunching right hand. That buckled the legs of Onyango. Recovered quickly, but that did buckle his legs, John. Another overhand right scores.
Suleyman's a quick finisher with these rounds.
Suleyman coming on strong here at the end of the round. Round 5 coming up, scheduled for 6 here in the ballroom. Action from round 4.
Good
there was the
straight
overhand
hand.
right by Onyango.
Yep, right down the pipe. Nailed Suleyman. That might have been the best punch that Onyango landed all night, but he hit Suleyman with several right hands in that round. That was his round.
6 minutes to go. Let's check the Jon Scheinman scorecard quickly. John.
All even, Larry. 38-38 on my scorecard. Joshua Onyango, tremendous first 2 minutes of that last round to take it, despite the comeback from Suleyman. I'm telling you, Onyango presses and does not get discouraged easily. This one's up for grab with 2 to go.
I gotta agree with Scheinman as much as it pains me.
I've got Suleyman ahead 39-37, but the fight is close.
Onyango taking advantage of Suleyman's guard, which kind of falling now, down near his chest. Had his hands held high early, and Suleyman's head is open if Onyango can find him. Onyango the aggressor right now, John. The tide has really turned. The tempo of this fight has turned.
Well, I wonder if Suleyman, he doesn't look fatigued, but he's not finding the target like he did in the first 3 rounds consistently. He's very busy in those first 3 rounds, threw a lot of punches. Body shot by Suleyman. Onyango would be wise to try to slow Suleyman down by doing more of that himself if he can. Suleyman not retreating quite as quickly as he did. Blood coming from Suleyman's nose slightly.
Suleyman turning the tempo up a little bit here in the 5th round.
And this is a close round.
Yes, there is blood from the nose of Suleyman. Earlier it had been his mouth that was bleeding, so.
Oh, good shot downstairs by Suleyman.
Thumping body shot. Suleyman continues to move forward, continues to move his hands. The left hand scores.
I think that body shot really hurt Onyango. It really seemed to slow him down in his tracks there. Let's see if it has any lasting effect. Onyango needs a big round here, needs a big finish to this round to stay in the fight, I think.
Onyango holding on. That body work is hurting Onyango. You can tell he's holding as a result of those body shots.
He's ripping him inside.
You see, Suleyman knows it too, comes right back.
And see how he goes upstairs now as Onyango tries to protect his ribs.
Second half of this round, round 5, has belonged to Nurhan Suleyman with the body attack. With 3 minutes to go here in the ballroom.
This is truly the last call for that blue Chevy truck, Maryland Tank 24L.
Boxing, what's that boxing do?
Suleyman all pumped up and ready to go with 3 minutes to go in this fight. Let's get the quick check of the scorecard from Jon Scheinman.
48-47, Nurhan Suleyman took over the fight of my scorecard in that last round, Larry. And I just think when he's busy, he's more effective than Onyango and stops him cold. He just got to let his hands go.
All right, John. So Jon Scheinman has Suleyman ahead by a point. How about you, Mr. Saraceno?
I've got him ahead by 3, needing some kind of a knockout here to win the fight or some fluke disqualification.
Nice clubbing left hook by Suleyman. Certainly he's the man in control right now in this fight as this final round is underway. Onyango without the mouthpiece. Didn't give it to him when he came out of the corner after round 5. They forgot.
Bad mistake. Out of the corner. Suleyman not the biggest puncher, but he's a sharp puncher.
Another hard right hand by Suleyman that scores. Got to give it to Onyango for continuing to move forward, trying to get something going offensively, John, except that Suleyman just a little too strong, a little too savvy.
That's what it is. Suleyman, a very difficult customer to fight.
Nice right hand by Onyango, still with it. Another right hand as Suleyman ducks away. Good body work by Onyango. And the overhand right answered by Suleyman.
And it's been the lead right hand it's connected several times.
Good overhand right by Onyango. I tell you what, both of these guys giving it everything they have right down to the final bell. Good body shot by Suleyman, followed with a right to the head. Suleyman with his mouth open, but this is the final round.
Terrific exhibition of boxing by Suleyman.
Oh, right hand by Suleyman, and somehow Onyango walks through the punch.
Snapped his head.
Back-to-back right hands. I mean, Onyango should have gone down. Continues to pursue Suleyman. Suleyman's laid some pretty strong leather to the skull of Onyango in this round. Round 6 coming to a close. This fight will go the distance. Onyango and Suleyman go to the judges' scorecard here in the ballroom.
Two superb boxers.
All right, welcome back to the ballroom. Action from the 6th and final round as Suleyman just connects with the right hand to the jaw of Onyango. Happened twice. There's another one. Wow.
And Onyango missed a lot of those shots too. A lot of those sweeping punches. That took a lot of steam out of him, but somehow he was able to press the attack. You see Onyango getting clipped there, freezing him momentarily.
Same sequence of punches. Those two right hands might have been the difference makers if this fight was close going into the 6th and final round. So we have a decision. The judges' scores have been tabulated. Did Suleyman, in fact, defeat Onyango tonight here in the ballroom? Let's find out from Pat O'Malley.
Your attention, please, ladies and gentlemen. We go to the scorecards. Judge Jon Gradowski scores at 58-56, as does Judge Malik Waleed. And Judge Don Risher scores at 59-55. The winner, by unanimous decision, Nurhan, the Sun King, Suleyman.
So Suleyman gets the victory. He remains unbeaten. Crowd not liking it too much because of the heart shown by Joshua Onyango, but Suleyman runs his record to 9-0. And how far can he go, John?
Well, as a junior middleweight, I'd like him a lot better if he had a little more punch. He's a sharp puncher, not the biggest puncher. Very accomplished boxer, and certainly a prospect at 154 pounds.
So it is Suleyman with the unanimous decision victory here tonight over Joshua Onyango. More coming up in the ballroom. Don't go away. Welcome back to Ballroom Boxing. You see the excitement in the air here in the ballroom. So we are set for our main event. Luis Dos Santos and Ian Gardner. Let's get it started with Pat O'Malley. Pat.
It's time now for more ballroom boxing. The main event, an 8-round bout in the junior middleweight division. Judging the bout, Kenny Chevalier, Bill Holmes, and Don Risher. The scorekeeper is Jon Gradowski. And the man in charge when this bout commences is Malik Waleed. Introducing the boxers. First to my left, out of the red corner, wearing the gold trunks. He weighed in at 155. He's from Brockton, Massachusetts, via Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada, with a record of 9-1, 4 via the KO. He is being trained by Marvelous Marvin Hagler's former trainer, Goody Petronelli. Please welcome Ian, the Cobra Gardner. To my right, out of the blue corner, wearing the black trunks, he weighed in at 155. He's from Las Vegas, Nevada, by way of Brazil. His record, 17-7, 15 via the KO. A former Brazilian champion. Please welcome Luis Dos Santos.
So Dos Santos and Gardner in the main event tonight here in the ballroom. This fight is scheduled for 8 rounds.
Okay,
Malik
fellas,
Waleed is the ref.
You both been given the rules. I expect good, clean boxing. When I say break, you both got to stop punching, take a full step back. Remember, protect yourselves at all times. Touch gloves. Good luck to you both.
So Jon Saraceno, take a look at the matchup here. Gardner and Dos Santos.
Well, you see Gardner's a taller fighter, weight 155 each. But actually, Dos Santos fighting up to the junior middleweight level. His frame's not nearly as big as Gardner, who actually is coming down.
fight is underway. As we mentioned last time out, 3 days ago, Ian Gardner a winner. Fight before that was here in the ballroom, and he dispatched of King James McAllister in the second round. Gardner feeling very strong in there right now. Obviously has the size advantage over Dos Santos.
He's now knocked out 5 straight opponents, Gardner has, and he was spectacular in that second round KO of James McAllister to start the year off right here in the ballroom.
Body work by Gardner here early in round 1. Gardner living in Brockton, Massachusetts, a native of Canada. You saw Goody Petronelli, famed trainer, former middleweight champion, Marvelous Marvin Hagler, in the corner of Gardner.
He was also a southpaw.
Right.
And had a shaved head.
Nothing gets by you, John. Dos Santos very, very patient. Question here is, how does he get inside that jab of Gardner? If Gardner works that jab, it's going to be very difficult for Dos Santos to get close enough to hurt Gardner.
See the hand and foot speed of Gardner.
Gardner can't decide whether he's a southpaw or conventional fighter. He keeps switching back and forth. He's toying with Dos Santos a little bit here in the early going.
Well, he's very peppy. Dos Santos would be good to try to work that body to slow him down a little bit. Just the opposite.
Shots. Boy, power shots by Gardner, who smiles at the crowd reaction. Nice counter jab there by Dos Santos with the right hand. Slipped that one in.
Santos has power, 15 knockouts and 17 wins by stoppage.
Let me see, I think that would be 88%.
Your math is terrific. Your eyesight's pretty good too. Looking at my sheet over here.
Gardner's got some nice lateral movement in the ring, giving Dos Santos a very difficult target to find.
Gardner's got some awkward movements, and when he changes up, you don't know which angle the punch is going to come from.
Round 1 winding down here in the ballroom. Ian Gardner showing a lot of skill early in this scheduled 8-rounder.
Now you control that round nice. Big round for you. Look sharp. Nice. Hands up. Hands up. Head down a little bit. Keep off the jab. Keep off the rope. Keep out of the corner.
Action from the first round. The hand speed of Ian Gardner certainly on display in round 1. Comes in really wide though, John.
Gardner was actually watching his handiwork on the overhead screen before the round started. I said, what is he looking at? And I looked, he was looking at the admiring his work in the first round. Goody Petronelli, his trainer, liked it too. Thought he was very sharp.
Ian Gardner in the shiny gold trunks, and Luis Dos Santos in the black trunks.
Got an unorthodox left hand the way he throws it, Gardner.
Kind of slaps it.
He does. Dos Santos looks undaunted. He's still moving forward, but that reach advantage and his frame of Gardner, significant plus in this fight.
Break clean, break clean, break clean, break clean. Hey, oh, stop punching, stop, hey, 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 step back on the break, let's go.
Starting to see some redness and swelling around Dos Santos' face, ever so slightly. Getting nailed with that left hand repeatedly. Looks like it's raining on him.
Hand speed of Gardner just too much for Dos Santos here in round 2. Obviously the tide could change.
May have to show this fight in slow motion. Pick up his punches.
Quick, I'll tell you what.
Hey, stay off the head. Come on, let's go.
5 straight knockouts for Ian Gardner, hoping that Dos Santos is number 6. Gardner really is not doing anything to the body of Dos Santos. You think he's making a mistake?
Well, that's where he's got to try to slow him down, but he's getting pelted with lefts and rights, and he can't even find a way to get inside to even get close to go to the body. Yeah, in theory, that's what you want him to do.
Nice left hand that time.
He also doesn't move his head enough, Dos Santos. He's right there for the taking.
Oh, crunching right hand that time by Gardner. Stopped Dos Santos in his tracks.
This is a masterful boxing exhibition right now by Ian Gardner. Dos Santos has absolutely no answer.
And Dos Santos has a lot of experience, John. It's not like he's a fresh kid just in there against a veteran. In fact, has more professional fights than Gardner.
I don't know if he's ever faced anybody quite like Ian Gardner.
Oh, nice combination by Gardner. Rocks the world of Dos Santos as round 2 winds down. And amazing hand speed. The man from Canada, Ian Gardner. End of the second round, more to come. Action from round 2, the hand speed of Ian Gardner just tattooing the dome of Dos Santos. I want to check with Jon Scheinman after 2 rounds. I would think it's a shutout for you on your card for Gardner.
Oh, absolutely, Larry. I mean, this guy's like a boxing savant. I mean, he does something right, he does something wrong. It doesn't matter. It's just punch after punch. And the interesting thing about Gardner is that he's throwing such a high volume of shots, and yet he mixes up the power. So you never know where you're going to get hit with a power shot or just a flurry of pity pats. And so all of a sudden, Dos Santos finds himself getting rocked by a right hand that, moments before was just a light shot. Very impressive.
All right.
Now back to the idiot savants.
Gardner slowing down his pace a little bit here in round 3, measuring Dos Santos a little bit more, maybe feeling he can sit down on those punches here, Mr. Saraceno. And
I don't know, you know what? You need to shoot this guy in like time-lapse photography. He's so fast. I can't keep up with him. He's making me dizzy, frankly.
Dos Santos having a hard time keeping up as well, and he's inside the ring.
Well, Dos Santos in Spanish means 2 saints. And if this keeps up, he's going to need divine intervention in the worst way. Because right now, Gardner's pitching a big shutout.
He's quick defensively as well, John. Not only does he have the hand speed, but he's got the ability to pull back from a punch very nicely.
How much punching power he has, but it's the punches you don't see that have the most effect, and he's going to wear you down with the sheer volume of it.
Gardner really standing still now, picking his shots. I think he feels that Dos Santos has nothing to offer right now in terms of offense.
Gardner weighing in at 155, turned pro at 159, and actually fought in the 60s a few times. His last fight, 157, so he may not even be as strong as tonight physically.
Right. Gardner using that right hand on the move to score points.
Do you remember when your abs looked like Gardner's?
John, I don't have to think back that long. Well, Santos keeps moving forward, keeps eating leather. Gardner gave him a disgusted look, said, are those the primitive tools that you bring in here?
That was an utter look of disdain on his face. He is having fun in there. I tell you right now, Dos Santos is not.
Tell if Gardner throws more power behind his punches from the southpaw stance than he does from the conventional stance.
Well, Gardner makes some mistakes. Sometimes he's off balance after he throws a shot, but he's able to get away with it, particularly with this guy, because the guy's not big and strong enough to stay with him.
All right, end of round 3. More to come from the ballroom. This fight is scheduled for 8. Don't go away. Ian Gardner looking pretty good right now, taking on Luis Dos Santos.
Dos Santos' face, a nice cherry red from getting pelted.
This is round 4. This fight scheduled for 8 rounds tonight. Now, if you're Dos Santos, Jon Saraceno, what do? How can you attack this guy?
What do I do if I'm Dos Santos?
If you're Dos Santos, what do you do? Well, you're the former Brazilian champion, for crying out loud.
I'll give you one word. It won't be in Portuguese, but it'll be in Spanish. Vamos. Let's go. I'm out of here. No, seriously, there's not a whole lot he can do. He's overmatched, basically, because of size, skills, speed. You want to add anything else?
Just a general ring generalship, But the thing about Ian Gardner right now, John, he's got to work on that left hand. For him to really get into the upper echelon of fighters, especially junior middleweights, that's where he's going to stay. He's got to be able to turn that left hand over. He can't have that. There's another slapping left hand by Gardner, and it really is not a power shot.
The other problem with Dos Santos at this moment is, even though he's had success, it was earlier in his career, in the early 90s. In the last 2 to 3 years, he's lost 5 of his last 6 fights. So he may be in that mode where, when the going gets tough, he's going to fight a survival fight. He's trying, but there's not a whole lot he can do. He's going to have to hope that he can land one lucky punch and turn the fight around, maybe get Gardner hurt. That's his only hope.
Dos Santos moving forward, and Gardner, as John Scheinman mentioned, leaves himself wide open at times because the wild offensive moves that he shows.
He does, but Dos Santos can't make him pay. So it really doesn't matter in a sense unless he gets really careless and gets caught, which could happen. We're only in the 4th round. This has got to go 8. And Gardner's been very busy, throwing a lot of punches, moving around the ring. Will he tire? Will it make a difference?
Nice combination by Ian Gardner again.
By the way, Gardner's never gone 8 rounds. He's only gone 6 rounds 1 time, and that was his 1 loss back in 2001 to Peter Manfreda up in Connecticut.
His decision loss, split decision loss.
Correct. But his last, for instance, his last 3 fights have only totaled 8 rounds. But he looks like he's in terrific shape, so that shouldn't be a problem.
Approaching the midway point of this 8-rounder. Round 4 is winding down. Another good one for Ian Gardner. Back with more Ballroom Boxing in a moment. Round 5 underway. Larry Michael with Jon Saraceno. Ballroom boxing action. Jon Scheinman, the 3rd member of our crew. What's the scorecard through 4, John?
40-36 shutout for Ian Gardner. It couldn't be any more lopsided, Larry. It's interesting to think about this kid as he develops with Goody Petronelli. I mean, Petronelli put together one of the greatest fighters of all time in Marvin Hagler, but it was a completely different style. The whole destruct and destroy methodology that Hagler employed, where he'd come forward. He had all the tools, but this guy's a completely different fighter, and Petronelli's letting him maximize his skills, and he's not trying to make him into a new Hagler, and that's a good sign of a trainer.
That's an excellent point, and Goody Petronelli is one of the best trainers in boxing. And this kid could go far with Goody. But you know what? He does make some mistakes. I think he's a little careless tonight, not on his P's and Q's defensively necessarily, because I think he realizes he's just out there having fun and he's dominating his opponent, but pulling straight back from punches. Those are the kinds of things that you don't want to do with a seasoned fighter who's as big and strong as you are.
Same thing goes for another guy who used to have the sequin trunks, Prince Nassim Hamed. Same type of carelessness in the ring. Dos Santos continues to move forward, looking for an opening. Big left hand there by Dos Santos scores. So as soon as Ian Gardner slowed down, Dos Santos made him pay.
But Dos Santos still looks determined. He has not quit. I don't think he's fighting a survival fight. I think maybe his corners told him, look, this guy's been moving around. You can still catch him. Keep throwing with both hands, pressure him. Right now when he's got him against the ropes, that's really when he should be on top of him.
Gardner continues to move. He's moved since the opening bell.
That's the thing about boxing. Even though one guy's way ahead, and it doesn't look like the other guy can come back, it only takes one split second of being careless, and the result is the opposite.
It's always sudden death, really. Get the feeling here that Dos Santos feels that the punching power of Gardner isn't substantial enough for him to worry about at this point. So
he does keep moving forward like that's the case. He seems unfazed, other than that he's probably been discouraged at times early in the fight. He's trying to press the attack, but he's got quite a mountain to climb.
Round 5 coming to a close here as Ian Gardner clowns. Back with more in a moment from the ballroom. Action from round 5. Dos Santos keeps coming, John.
You got to give him credit for trying, but the judges don't have to give him credit. You only get credit for scoring blows, and you see the man in the shiny trunks getting most of those.
Round 6 underway, 9 minutes to go in this fight.
Well, Dos Santos needs to pull a rabbit out of his hat here soon. I don't know what he's got up his sleeve, but
Gardner now back into the corner, see if Dos Santos will follow him. Trying to catch him walking in with a left hand.
Sometimes Gardner doesn't punch, he swipes. Slapper. But the potential is there. And let's not forget, he's only got 10 fights. He is learning too. And he is 21 years old.
Young guy, Dos Santos has been knocked out 3 times, however, John, so you wonder where the power of Gardner is.
That's a legitimate question. That would be a good question for John Scheinman to actually ask Goody Petronelli. Can you improve his punching power? Will he get bigger and stronger? He's only 21. Will he learn to set down more in his punches?
Gardner doing a great job of controlling the tempo of the fight. Call it ring generalship, and that is a big key for him tonight. Everything has been done at his pace.
I think most people can appreciate what he's doing here tonight. From a boxing standpoint, of course, people like to see knockdowns, knockouts, blood, but you know, to watch a technician in the ring can be pleasing too. I think George Foreman said it a long time ago, boxing's a lot like jazz. The better it is, the less people appreciate it.
Right. Gardner shaking his head. I think a little frustration beginning to creep in. I think that he feels he should have taken Dos Santos out by now. And Dos Santos is still pursuing him. And catching him against the ropes.
See, in Dos Santos, it's not even like he's big and strong enough to rough him up on the inside, because that's what you want to do with a guy like this.
Gardner sitting down on the punches a little bit, bringing some power now. Working behind that straight right hand.
I'll tell you what, Malik has to be a fancy Dan in there tonight with his footwork, boy. A couple times, Gardner moves so quickly, he could get in the way.
This counter left by Dos Santos, maybe his best punch of the fight, as round 6 comes to a close. We are set for round 7. Ian Gardner in the shiny gold trunks and Luis Dos Santos in the black trunks with 2 rounds to go. Jon Scheinman, still a shutout on your card for Gardner?
Absolutely, 60-54, Larry, with 2 rounds to go. You know, I was thinking about what you all were saying about punching power. You know, I think Gardner hits hard enough that you have to respect the power. So Dos Santos always finds himself covering up. He can't just walk through him. He always has to defend. That's enough to get the job done. I mean, we've seen plenty guys over the years win world titles that aren't pure knockout punchers. This guy has tremendous focus. I mean, I'd be very surprised if he got stopped here. I like his focus, so even if he doesn't have knockout power, he can carry 3 minutes of every round for 8 to 10 rounds.
That's true, but against a fighter like this, and the question is, when he fights a true junior middleweight who's bigger and stronger, what's going to happen? Well, he may have to alter his plan.
Well, he will develop too. That's why he's just getting this experience under his belt.
Gardner ripping a combination to the skull of Dos Santos.
Dos Santos' corner may have already recognized the futility of this match because they gave him no helpful advice between rounds. I mean, they were useless. They really were. The guy needs some help. I don't know if it'd matter a whole lot, but he's not getting professional advice.
So Dos Santos' face, all the punishment he's taken, really hasn't gotten busted up. A little swelling around the right eye. But other than that, it's in pretty good shape. Oh, power combination by Ian Gardner.
This is a precision punching display by Ian Gardner.
Let him go, let him go, let him go. Come on, get out of there, get out of there. Punch out. Punch out of there, fellas.
Well, Dos Santos doesn't want to let go because when he does, he gets hit.
I wonder if he understands Malik Waleed. He continues to hold.
He understands.
Ian Gardner.
He understands. He knows exactly what's going on, but you know, he's taken a lot of punishment, Larry, and we're late in the fight, and I think he's trying to prevent as much of that as possible. You know what? He's been a game fighter.
Boy, those punches are coming quicker than he can defend. Big left hand rocks the world of Dos Santos.
Let's see if he can finish him. Well, Santos doing what he should.
Hold. Santos pumping out that jab instinctively. One good shot. Gardner might send Dos Santos down.
Says dynamite on the back of Dos Santos trunks, but really the guy with all the power tonight has been his opponent.
Problem is, it says Fernandez on the front. His name is Dos Santos. 3 minutes to go.
Might be his mother's name.
Okay, 3 minutes to go here in the Ballroom's main event. We'll be back.
Keep your hands up the last round. You don't want every round.
Words encouragement in the corner of Ian Gardner, and what a straight left hand. I mean, that almost put Dos Santos down. 8th and final round. It's been all Ian Gardner from the opening bell. Dos Santos, a game competitor, still right there. Gardner has just kept him on the end of his punches.
Dos Santos showing a lot of heart. Boy, he is not going to feel good in the morning.
Gardner slowed down a little bit here in the final round. He's catching his breath for a final onslaught, most likely.
I wonder if he's just going to box and stay out of harm's way. And I don't want to say he feels sorry for Dos Santos because he probably doesn't, but well, maybe he's going to try to take him out.
Gardner is so quick of foot that he can make up for his mistakes with his foot speed. Gardner moving around the ring. Kind of a cautious mode right now for Ian Gardner.
Mocking by Gardner. And when you're this far ahead in the fight, I guess you can afford to do that.
If any question about Gardner being able to keep his fire going through the 8-round distance. He's in pretty good shape right now in the 8th and final round.
Another question, where does Ian Gardner go from here? He'll be 10-1. But again, only 21 years old.
Well, he was just tattooing the face of Dos Santos with those ballroom boxing gloves.
Well, Santos is going to end up with a bigger tattoo on his face than Tyson.
Oh.
I know it'll be better looking.
You don't like Mike's tattoo?
He's not even done. He's only half done with it.
Gardner continues to move.
I tell you what, we could criticize Tyson all we want for being a lot of things, but he did inject enthusiasm and interest into the heavyweight division for a long time.
He sure did. Still does, really.
Yeah. For some wrong reasons, but
that's true. So Gardner continues to his masterful boxing performance here in the ballroom. Dos Santos hasn't gotten close to him.
Tyson made a lot of people rich. And I can think of one in particular whose hair stands way up on the top of his head.
This main event's going to go to the distance as Ian Gardner does a fantastic job boxing the night away in the ballroom. The decision is next when we return. Ballroom boxing brought to you by Toyota. By Budweiser, delivering beer at its best with the crisp, clean, and refreshing taste known only to the king of beers. By Michael's 8th Avenue, a host of grand occasions. And by BallroomBoxing.com for the latest in ballroom boxing action and upcoming live events and season tickets. Action from this 8-rounder, Ian Gardner in the gold trunks, dominating the fight with Luis Dos Santos, John.
Very impressive performance. Let's face it, Dos Santos was overmatched tonight. He had no answers for the speed and combination punching of Gardner.
So we would expect Gardner to win the unanimous decision. Let's make sure we are correct. Let's go to Pat O'Malley.
Your attention, please, ladies and gentlemen. We go to the scorecards for the decision. All three judges, Kenny Chevalier, Bill Holmes, and Don Richer, score it 80-72. The winner by unanimous decision, Ian the Cobra Gardner.
So Ian Gardner is the winner tonight in the ballroom in the main event, running his record to 10-1. He didn't get his knockout, Jon Saraceno, but he got the victory. I guess that's more important.
Well, you got to get the W.
So Ian Gardner wins the main event. And as usual, John, the fans here, the big winners of Michael's 8th Avenue. What a great night of boxing.
It really was. We had some interesting fights early on, some explosiveness, and we saw some great boxing talent here. We hope to see it again very soon.
We will do it soon. For John Scheinman and Jon Saraceno, I'm Larry Michael. We'll see you next time for Ballroom Boxing.